Hello and welcome to the first part of my AutoCAD tutorial. In this video we're going to be doing a little bit of drawing, and I'm going to show you around the AutoCAD interface, just get you used to some of the basics. It's very easy to get bamboozled in AutoCAD because there's about 5 ways of doing anything you can think of. So without further ado, this is the AutoCAD start screen. If you don't already have AutoCAD installed, I've made another video where I teach you how to get AutoCAD for free. So I'll put a link to that down below in the description. Right then, without further ado, once you've got AutoCAD running, this is the screen you should see. This is AutoCAD 2020. If you've got a later version of AutoCAD or even an earlier one, it might be slightly different to this, but the last few years had the same sort of start screen. So if you go over here to where it says Start Drawing, okay, and here we are. So this is what you should see when you start up. Don't worry if it's slightly different. You may or may not have this grid. It may or may not be black. You might have the white screen. But if you come down here to the bottom left, you'll see it says Model. So you might be in Layout 1 if you've got a white screen. But Model is where you want to be. So this is Model Space. This is where you do all the drawing. So if you're drawing, doesn't matter what you're drawing, whether you're drawing a building or a car or something small made out of wood. Could be something tiny, so it could be something huge. Everything is drawn in model space, and you draw it to scale. So you draw it 1:1. So if your thing is 1 meter long, you draw it 1 meter long in model space. I'll get onto all that in later videos, into the more into things like scale and complexity. But so this is model space. It's usually black. Sometimes it's grey, but it's usually dark. And then down here where you've got layout, the default will say layout 1 and layout 2 usually, down here. So this is what you call paper space. So this is what the drawing will look like, and the default setting is that in paper space you will usually have what is called a viewport. Now I'm going to get into these in later videos, but essentially a viewport is just a window into model space. So you don't need to worry too much about that. We'll go into that later. But for now, come back to model space, and if you look up here at the top, you'll see the ribbon. There's lots of different tabs in here, and honestly, you don't need to worry about most of them. You'll spend 99.9% of your time on the home tab. Anything that isn't on the home tab, there's usually a very nice, easy keyboard command for. So this has got most of the drawing features, most of the sort of manipulation and modification features, dimensions, layers, everything. So I'll go into detail. I'll go into each tab or each part of this tab in more detail in further videos. The only other thing really that you need to worry about is up the top here. You've got the save icons and save as open, and then if you click on the big A, you've got things like print, save as. Standard stuff, same as Microsoft Office or many other sort of Windows-based programs that you get nowadays. So probably the best thing to do is just have a little go at drawing. So if you come up here to the top left and click on line, and then with your left mouse, and then come into the middle of the screen somewhere, just anywhere, and left click once, and you should be able to draw and wave your cursor around. And you may or may not see a number in the screen which tells you how long your line is. We'll get into that in later videos. If when you drag your line, it's only going either horizontally or vertically, that means you've got something called orthogonal or ortho, which I've just switched on. Now you can toggle that by pressing F8. So if you press it on, turn it off. Now that's very useful, and this is one of the features I use all the time, every day, multiple times a day, is switching between being able to draw lines wherever I want and having to draw them vertically or horizontally, or orthogonally as it is. So if you take it off that, so once you've clicked left, you've started your line, then you can click left again and it'll carry on. You don't need to keep hold of it, you can just let go, and it'll carry on drawing you a new line. So you can click again, and you'll notice if you come back to the start, it will probably show you a little box like that. That's called a snap. So it's snapping to the end point. You can see there it's come up with end point. If you press the F3 button, that little box will go away. And it doesn't happen anymore. If you press F3 again, it'll reappear. So that again is a very, very useful tool. So F3 and F8 are two of the most important keys that you will use in AutoCAD. Because sometimes you really want, like now I'm going to snap and I've made a nice triangle. And all the corners join up, which can be important for later things, and it just looks neat and tidy. It's now showing me that I want, it's now letting me draw another line, what I don't really want to, so you can either right click and press cancel, or if you start drawing a line you don't want to, you can just bash escape. Like I said before, if you want to do something in AutoCAD, there's usually about 5 ways of doing it. So you could press, like I said, you can press escape, you can right click and cancel. There's probably another 2 ways of doing it that I just don't know about. And that's the great thing about AutoCAD is there's nearly always a good way of doing something. So, okay, moving further on, we'll ignore polylines for now. I'll go into those in a different video. The main things are lines, circles, and squares or rectangles. Most of what you need to do in AutoCAD can be done with that. So if we come up here again to this menu, draw, and click on a circle. Okay, left click to pick the circle, and let's just plonk it down somewhere. So we're going to left click on that. Now, if you look, that you should get a little box telling you how big the circle is. So mine said, and there's another box appeared that says specify the radius of circle or. And now's a good time to show you about the command line. So if you look down at the bottom of your screen, you should see a white box here. Now this is the command line. If you can't see a white box, press F2 and it should make it pop up or reappear if it's disappeared. Now the command line is effectively the back end of AutoCAD. Everything in AutoCAD near enough has command, even saving and printing. It's all command based. So let's just press F2 again to get rid of that. Now if you look down, the command line is also an excellent way of learning new things in AutoCAD, because near enough whenever you click on a command, like for instance circle, if you look at the bottom here it gives you some options. So it says circle, specify radius of the circle or the diameter. So for instance, let's say if I'm drawing a 4-inch pipe which is 100mm in diameter, okay, it's a 50mm radius, but you might find, let's say if it's a 75mm pipe, I don't want to think, oh, what's half of 75? I know it's not that difficult, but all I would do is press D. So if you look down here, I could click on the word diameter, or I could click, there's a little blue D, I don't know if that's coming up clearly on your screen, and so all I have to do is click D and press space, and now it's doing it by diameter instead of radius. So I'm going to type in 100, and it's gone a bit bigger, so there we go. So I've got a 100mm diameter circle. The next thing I'm going to do is, if you come up here, we've got rectangle, so I'm just going to click on that, and again I'm just going to click anywhere, make it. As you saw there, you can specify how big things are, and that certainly in a professional setting, most of what you do will be, you won't just be eyeing things in, you'll be drawing things to a specific size. So I'm going to make this square, or this rectangle, I'm going to make it 100 by 200. So you can see now it says specify the other corner or point. So I'm going to type in 100 and then I'm going to press comma. So it's locked in the 100, and now I'm going to type in 200. I'm going to press space again, and there we go. It's giving me a 100 by 200 rectangle. So okay, now what we've drawn obviously doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just some shapes. But if we go back down here to layout, okay, we can see a line in our viewport, And so what I'm going to get you to do now is get this piece of paper so you can see it, so you can see all of it and you can see around the viewport. Don't zoom in close like this because it's very easy to get stuck, especially when you're a beginner. So the easiest way to do that is to double click the middle mouse button, and that shows what that does is it zooms to extents, I should say. You can scroll in and out as well with the mouse wheel, but that's a good way of doing it. A good little tip. And now what we need to do is to click in the middle somewhere. Double click. Now if you scroll with a mouse wheel, you're actually scrolling in model space. You're changing the scale of this viewport. So if you do the double mouse click in there, it zooms to the extents of everything you've drawn in model space. So now you can see everything in your drawing. And the whole point of AutoCAD is you draw everything to scale in model space, and then you change the scale in paper space. So for instance, in your drawing, you might have, let's say that's a plan, and it's, I don't know, it could be some kind of modern art garden or something. So let's say that's your plan. What you can actually do, what you might want to do is you might want to have an overall plan on this side. I'll show you how to do all the copying in another video, and then you might want to blow up a detail of that triangle and say, oh, look, here's this detail thing here. And so the idea is that you don't draw things twice. You don't draw your building, then you don't draw it up again close. You just draw it once. That's the whole point of AutoCAD, is you draw it once, and then you zoom in and you use different bits to show what you want to show, and to communicate what you need to communicate to whoever it is. You could be making a drawing about one thing and showing 3 different people different aspects of it. You know, if you're dealing with engineers, architects, planners, estimators, quantity surveyors, things like that. So yeah, different people need to see different things, and you can, doing it this way, you can avoid drawing everything twice. So okay, that's going to be it for this video, and the next video we're going to go into a bit more detail on things like drawing on viewports, making a drawing sheet so you can actually get going. So okay, thanks for watching this video, and be sure to check out the next one.